Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Mint Mob Podcast. Jason here, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond over in Germany. We're going to dump into the markets, of course, what's going on with Goodfellas. But first, let's check in with Alex, man. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing good. Happy that we actually have a little delay in recording the podcast. So if you guys wonder why we already have information like the inflation data and everything, we record a little later than usually due to some technical issues. But we definitely wanted to do this one. And looking at the markets, it's actually interesting to see what happened over the last couple of days. We had the inflation data today, which looked pretty good. We got a very big meeting coming up next week, which is the FOMC meeting, where Powell will decide whether he cuts interest rates or not. And this is actually a pretty big thing for crypto, not just crypto, actually for the whole financial world, as we see American stock markets have been going down lately as well. And as Bitcoin and crypto correlates with that currently or for quite some time now, we definitely have to follow that as well. So, been following the markets pretty closely. It's been a while since we had the last podcast recording, so a lot of things happened. I think last time we recorded, we were trading at somewhere around 98 or 97 or whatever. We went down to all the way down to 76, currently trading at like 82. Yeah, what do you think about it? I know you love it. I know you take these opportunities to accumulate. What do you see coming next?
Yeah, I don't know what comes next or when it comes. I mean, I'm just looking at the trends. The trends for crypto are not slowing down at all. In fact, they're speeding up. And, a lot of big name investors are still snapping up Bitcoin. So while people are selling, smart investors are backing up the truck. So for me, it's just an opportunity to pick up cheaper sats. And that's how I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I think from now until, my dying day, I'll be buying sats and high quality, alt chains, feature chains, Solana, that sort of thing, obviously. But, for me personally, like you said, it's a buying opportunity. I don't really care what happens in the short term because that's not my strategy. It has nothing to do with what happens tomorrow or next month. I'm thinking about years down the road. And, as long as the adoption curve continues to happen, the long-term prospects are positive. And so what happens today or tomorrow or 5 minutes from now is just a bump in the road, and everything will ultimately, smooth back out and get back to where it needs to be. So yeah, I'm absolutely acquiring as much as I can right now. And I hope to be able to acquire at least for the next few months into this year the same way. So we'll see what happens.
I know you're not the biggest friend of technical analysis, so am I actually. But if you look at the big picture, if you zoom out and if you listen to, people out there talking about crypto, whether it's influencers or people on X, everyone is currently agreeing on the fact that Bitcoin is going to revisit the range of 68 to 72, which would complete a pretty important pattern. Mm-hmm. I know, like I said, you don't really care about such stuff because I think you probably buy all the way down. But if you look at these kind of information on X, do you feel like okay, maybe I should wait before I accumulate more because I obviously get more if my price is better?
I mean, there's a certain amount of that, but the truth is, if you just think this through, I mean, no one has a crystal ball, and there's no way of knowing what the bottom will be. I mean, we can look at technical analysis all day long. We can look at market sentiment all day long. But at the end of the day, we're never going to catch the exact bottom, nor will we ever catch the exact top. So I don't try to do that. If I feel like if I open up my app and I feel like it's on sale today or relatively a good price or a better price than I got it from yesterday, then I'm probably going to pick up a few more sats or a few more tokens, whatever that happens to be. So, I think that if you're swing trading, you're moving in and out of things every few days, or if you're trading, and you're tied to a screen, then these things matter. But for me, they don't really matter. I'm just looking at adoption curves and liquidity. And I think there's a lot of liquidity on the sidelines waiting for a clear direction with government, with monetary policy, with inflation rates, with banking policy, who's going to acquire what. As long as that adoption continues, if you're not buying Bitcoin, you're just not paying attention. I mean, it's just that simple. So we can cry and moan that Bitcoin was 108,000 and it's too expensive, or we can cry and moan that it's bearish right now and it could go to 68. But the thing is, we have to pick our side, pick the team that we want to ride. And, if you thought it was expensive at 108 and you're crying about that, but now you're also crying because it's at 82, then hey, you haven't decided what you're doing here. You should, if it was too expensive at 108, then 82 should be pretty attractive and you should be buying. And that's how I look at it. So relative to its all-time highs, I think it's a pretty nice little margin of safety. And could it go to the 60s or 50s? Yeah, it could. It could go even lower. But the question is, how long will it stay there, and will you be there to catch it? And unless you're going to sit here and watch charts for the 5 minutes that Bitcoin dips into the 70s like it did yesterday or last week, day or four, whatever, you're going to miss it, just like I did. And I'm looking at my app like every hour. So I think I bought some Bitcoin at 79 maybe, but it dropped to 76 for like 3.5 seconds or something. And I missed that, right? So who cares? I paid a little bit more for the sats that I got, but I paid a lot less than the sats that I would have bought at 108. So I feel good about that.
In the past, we could see that Bitcoin or crypto sometimes did like its own thing, like no matter what happened to the stock markets. But currently we see a big crash in the US markets as well. And there is a theory out there on X. I mean, where else? Obviously it's on X. People saying, there's actually a tweet I can quote here. It says 7 trillion US debt is the reason why Trump wants stock markets to crash hard. His playbook: crash stocks, pump bond market, and force rate cuts. What do you think about that?
I think most of this, soundbite, politically motivated, text is just drivel. I don't think anyone knows anything. And when it comes to governments, we've never seen a government that actually is committed to doing what it said it was going to do, at least not in my lifetime. I think we had some of this maybe in the 80s when Reagan came into power, after the 70s, which was a horrible, horrible decade economically for a lot of people, Americans in particular. I think we have something similar facing us now, with opportunity being presented that hasn't been presented before to actually make change. And of course, people who are comfortable with the status quo are fighting that tooth and nail, complaining about tariffs, complaining about, the way that Trump speaks, complaining that, Elon has a Nazi salute, which is just the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. When you look at what's going on in the world and you look at the people's level of discourse and thought, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I saw two people pop up on my Facebook timeline who had posted, oh, geez, what was it? I got to give it to you word for word because it was so stupid. Give it to me. Let me see. Where is it? Oh my God, it was terrible. I get that people, like to read sound bites and react. I totally get that. But what I don't get is people blindly sharing stuff that makes no sense whatsoever, in an effort to basically sway other people to thinking their way. This to me is absolute nonsense. So this person here posted a quote, right? And this is from Elon and Joe Rogan's podcast. The quote he posted is, "The fundamental weakness of civilization is empathy, Elon Musk." And then he puts like this angry smiley face and blah, 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 making it out like empathy, like Elon is saying empathy is a bad thing. And all he was really saying in the podcast, if you posted the full context, is that if you take empathy to its extreme, in other words, where you give and give and give and give until there's nothing left of you to give and you suicide yourself or your society, that's not a good thing. that we should care about people, but we should also be reasonable and rational in how we do it, right? And I saw multiple people post this, right? And so it sort of got to me, and I actually responded to these people, which I almost never do, because, if you start talking politics online, you get all the stupid all at once, and especially the indoctrinated morons that follow the stupid. They just kind of gang up and just, it's like a swarm of bees. They just don't stop. So at the end of the day, when you see stuff like that, it just tells you how deeply indoctrinated people are into their way of thinking and being without actually thinking very deeply about what it is that they're saying. So talking about, Trump doing this or the administration doing that is sheerly focused on what they perceive as negative and completely ignoring any positive whatsoever. There's been over $100 billion in government waste saved. There's been a lot of positive action taken in terms of creating a stronger dollar. This is why countries like Canada are all up in arms right now about tariffs, because it makes the dollar stronger. It makes their industry weaker. And, all Trump has ever said he was going to do was protect the U.S. and put the U.S. first. And that's exactly what he's doing. So, at the end of the day, if you're surprised by this, then it just tells me that you're used to government status quo, which is politicians saying one thing and doing something completely different. And I think in this particular case, we've got someone who's doing his best to do what he said he wanted to do. And of course, it's not going to be perfect. Of course, there's going to be missteps. Of course, it's not always going to line up correctly. But at the end of the day, you've got a directionally important set of actions happening that people are not accustomed to seeing. And anytime you have that, you're going to have resistance, you're going to have misunderstandings, you're going to have fear, you're going to have all of the negative emotions spring to life. And of course, all of the stupidity, like at this empathy post where this guy's trying to imply that Elon Musk thinks that empathy is a bad thing. It's crazy. It's absolute lunacy. And until people take a step back and just kind of take it all in and, zoom out a little bit, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, the false information that are spread, like the example that you just gave us with Elon and his quote from the Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, that kind of stuff used to happen all the time, especially during or before the election, when you had like these debates. People tend like kind of like just used like little pieces from what's been said and spread it like in the internet and kind of try to it's almost like propaganda, like try to convey a message that was never meant like this. So I don't know what to do about it. This is probably going to happen even more as long as people have I mean, in social media, if you see videos go, I've seen that on, like, I gotta admit, I'm on TikTok, unfortunately, but if I go through these reels, I see that all the time. And the most the most surprising and sad thing is that if you look at the comments, people just blindly believe. Mm-hmm. And this is actually what you just described with the Facebook post. But yeah, you can't do anything about it. I mean, on like, if you zoom out, this is basically what's happening with the media as well. I mean, they usually try to control what we think by like interpret words the way they want to, and this happens everywhere. But another funny thing I saw actually is, did you see the post from Peter Schiff where he was like, hey, I'm creating my own strategic reserve and my own stockpile, and he actually posted his wallet addresses or in order to get Bitcoin and Solana and stuff like that?
Who did you say did this?
Peter Schiff.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. He's hilarious.
So he actually did that, and he received some Solana and Bitcoin, and obviously on chain you could see that he immediately sold everything and transferred it to Coinbase.
Well, that would not surprise me, because he has been such a Bitcoin bear, but it would not also surprise me that he would say that and not do that. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think he's stupid. Uh, at the end of the day, you can hold a belief, and you can look at different things. But if you look at it from a first principles rationality standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
adoption curve standpoint, like what's actually happening, what are the facts? If you're able to separate that from your belief system, then at the end of the day, you can make an informed decision. I don't think I've seen Peter Schiff make a rational decision regarding Bitcoin in any of the interviews that I've seen him do. And in fact, a lot of his interviews are just him squeaking and squawking and not really sounding like a cogent human being. And this is from a guy who was able to, formally lay out really great arguments against the Federal Reserve, against, like the debasement of the dollar, arguments for holding gold and silver. I mean, all the rest of it, arguments for holding foreign stocks. I don't really see him stepping into that same realm with Bitcoin, because to him, Bitcoin is a tulip bubble. It's the 1600s tulip bubble to him, and that's all he thinks it is. Or at least publicly, that's all he said. He says it is. I think privately, he's probably smart enough to accumulate. So I don't know. We'll see. I could be completely wrong about that. But I think he's so committed to his identity around being this person who's claiming that Bitcoin isn't a bubble that he's never going to change his mind.
So he has, like, I've never heard from him before reading about his Bitcoin posts. So he has been pretty famous for, I think it says economist or something, global chief economist. He's like a best-selling, yeah, so even he writes books, obviously. Um, so he has been pretty popular in the United States for doing that kind of stuff before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back in the day when I was running my own cash, I don't really hold any traditional investments outside of real estate right now. But back when I was holding traditional investments, I actually invested, I think, 20 grand with his company into foreign
Mm-hmm.
stocks, based on,
Mm-hmm.
listening to his, early podcasts back in the day. But the truth is, like, those stocks underperformed. When I converted the stocks back to US dollars, a few years later, I had basically no gains. And if I did have a gain, it was a small one, and it was offset by the loss in another one, so there really wasn't anything there. It was kind of a nothing burger. And these were stocks that his company was recommending, like his analysts were recommending. So, I mean, I've done better personally just buying random crypto than I did investing with him. And I think the average person understands that, which is why, you see younger and younger people distrusting Wall Street and all the rest of it. So, we'll see what happens. But I think that he's damaged his reputation severely by taking the stance that he's taken.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. Um, One more thing about crypto I wanted to talk about is, let me see, is Ethereum.
Hmm.
Ethereum is performing pretty bad, and the thing is that I know you and I, we're not the biggest fans. So we might save that topic for spaces, because I know there are some people out there who are big fans of ETH. So I think, do you have any hot take on ETH, or shall we move on to NFTs?
Um, you know what? I mean, honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say um, about ETH. I mean, I've said it too many times. I think you've probably heard me, sound like a broken record. ETH killed itself when it switched from proof of work to proof of stake. That was a massive mistake. And when they did that, they invalidated the need for all of their L2s, because now the L1 is fast enough to do the transactions. ETH is not decentralized, no matter what people like to think. It's not even close to being most decentralized, as some people think. So at the end of the day, ETH is an organization run by a group of people, and any organization run by a group of people has group of people risk. Solana's the same thing. Solana has group of people risk. So at the end of the day, we're investing into companies or organizations or people, and basically hoping and praying that the direction that they take the technology, because they control it, will continue to allow the technology to grow and expand. I think Solana has done a better job than ETH of late of being accessible. It's certainly cheaper and faster than ETH, which is both a benefit and a curse. So at the end of the day, I think Solana has greater business use capabilities. ETH was the first sort of big NFT art chain, and it's got that reputation. So I think ETH amongst art collectors is considered, is going to be considered, the highbrow version of NFTs for a long time to come. But I think that changes over time, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the question was actually like, what do you think has changed in the perception of people? Because I mean, ETH hasn't done really good in this bull run compared to Bitcoin and Solana, but like it feels like it has gotten a lot worse lately or recently in the past few weeks, because even like with the whole dump, even did like the whole dump, it broke some important up like some important support lines, blah blah blah. But even like if you have like some small relief rallies right now, ETH is not moving at all. So do you feel like it's coming to an end for ETH this cycle already?
I mean, I don't think anything is coming to an end right now. I think we're actually at the beginning, to be very honest with you. I mean, obviously we've had massive gains if you're early adopters. I mean, I can remember buying ETH at $30. I can remember, buying Bitcoin at $400. So obviously massive gains have already been accrued, but that doesn't mean that we are anywhere near the end of this thing. In fact, I think we're just at the infancy of it. And the longer that we go cycle to cycle, and the more adoption we see, the greater steady growth we'll see, I think. So I think ETH has a long way to go. I don't think it's done by any stretch of the imagination. Now, your question regarding this cycle, I don't think this cycle is over. I don't think we've seen the peaks of this cycle yet. I don't think we've seen the effects of any policy come through yet. So for me personally, I think this is sort of like the pullback before the launch, if you will. And I feel like we'll get one more big peak out of this market before anything else transpires to pull it back down. But, I'm basing that on history. And of course, history is not necessarily indicative of what we're going to see. However, it does tend to repeat from time to time, or at least rhyme, as the saying goes. So we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't be selling anything right at these levels. Of course not. I'm accumulating, and I didn't sell anything at the other levels because I don't think we're done yet. And I don't think we can, again, you're never going to hit the peak. You're never going to hit the trough. If you wanted to take profits, hey, more power to you. But for me, I don't think it's over. So for me, dancing in and out of positions I'm going to hold for months on end or years doesn't make any sense unless I know for sure I'm going to get double-digit plus gains by doing so. I don't think that's plausible right now. So certainly wouldn't be selling and still accumulating. That's what I'm doing here. And, as far as the cycle, the quote unquote cycle goes, it was always 2025 that we were looking toward. It was not 2024. So we are in 2025. We have the greatest pro crypto Congress, president, administration ever. We've got the strategic reserve coming online. We've got ETFs. We've got advertisements to retail investors going out on television screens and internet devices across the world. And the market trades 24/7. So, I mean, when you pair that out and you look at the competition being traditional marketplaces, that like if I wanted to buy a German stock right now, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to go through an entity and set up a different account and do all this crap. But if I want to buy Bitcoin or Solana, it doesn't matter, where I'm buying it from or who's selling it to me in the world. I can just buy it. It doesn't matter. So when you think about all of that and the fact that the average person still doesn't really understand the power of it yet, I think with all of the information and the advertisements and the sort of push to get people to that place of understanding, I think it's a bit premature to start, selling things and or thinking that this particular cycle's over.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree that there are definitely a lot of good reasons for crypto to to go up and to peak in the coming. I mean, there is a chance that we will see a summer. Like usually in summer is not the best time for crypto, but especially towards the end of the year, we should it like you see like another peak of the cycle, and then we'll see if we go into something like a bear market again for 4 years, or if Bitcoin even manages to hold his level at least to some degree. But as you said, we got the strategic reserve. We got ETFs, like even on on ETH, and I think Solana ETFs are coming. We got beautiful NFT projects built on Solana, and I think that's a beautiful bridge I just built to talk about the Goodfellas. We got a lot of stuff coming up at the Goodfellas. We're currently still in the exchange process of exchanging our current NFTs for core NFTs. The upgrade is ongoing. It will take some time, but we got the 21s collection done. We proceed with the Artist Incubator collection. And we will have a pretty cool cooperation going on with an RWA. I mean, we mentioned it. It's about trees. We will definitely talk about that in the future as well. But for now, like maybe give us a little upgrade or update on the core NFTs. So the Artist Incubator is up next. When can people expect the first pieces?
I haven't set a start date on that. I mean, this week I'm basically trying to get the existing collections updated or taken down and replaced with the core. So like you said, we've got that on tap for the 21s. I've got some admin stuff I need to do with the metadata for the ordinals to solidify our ownership on the marketplaces. And I've got to do the same thing for the 21s on Magic Eden. So, or all the marketplaces in general. So for now, I'm just doing a lot of sort of desk work around that. And then hopefully by the end of this week, that'll be settled down. And then next week we can start in on the AI pieces and then knock the AI pieces out. And then maybe take a week or so to get our arms wrapped around that. And then jump into the OG collection and just continue to pair it out from there. So the core updates are a little bit different than the traditional updates traditional pieces because in the traditional pieces, the collection NFT, there's two types of NFTs. There's a collection NFT, which basically is kind of like the parent. You can think of it as being the parent NFT. And then everything that's tied to the parent is immediately part of that collection. In the old school NFTs, that was not the case. You could put individual pieces you could basically tie your pieces to any collection you wanted, and you could do it locally on that particular NFT. You can do the same thing with Core, but you don't have to because Core separates so much of the metadata into the collection NFT that you basically dictate every single NFT that's tied to it from just that one singular parent NFT. So like if I changed the ownership of that parent NFT, or if I changed anything on that parent NFT that wasn't overridden in the pieces that belong to it, then they automatically just get updated, right? And so, for example, royalties is a big deal because we want to make sure the artists' royalties are taken care of. So when we're doing the 21s, all of the royalties are the same on the 21s. So I can set the royalties in the parent NFT, which is the collection NFT, and not have to set anything on the individual NFTs. So it's really easy to mint all of those NFTs into that one collection, and the royalties apply across the board. But when we're dealing with Artist Incubator pieces, we've got different artists participating, and each one has its own royalty structure. So I can't just like throw up a collection NFT, a parent NFT for the Artist Incubator collection that has all the royalty information in it, because the individual NFTs have different royalties themselves. So we have to basically create the royalty structure correctly for every single NFT and still make it part of the collection. So it's a little bit different, and it'll take a little bit longer, obviously, because we have more sort of, data to push around on that. But ultimately we'll get that knocked out and that'll be what's up next. But for now, just got to get everything sorted with the listings on all of the marketplaces and make sure they're correct. And then, of course, communicating to our squads, which collections are updated versus which ones are not. And, to obviously collect the old pieces and have them delisted, because we don't want any confusion in the marketplace. So that's kind of the big task right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we got the core upgrade going on right now. We got the big 21 drop, which is like an RWA drop in progress. We got a lot of artists lined up for the artist incubator, and what else do we got? Let me think. I had another thing I forgot. Artist incubator 21. Yeah, and we have a great idea for the next batch already. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and we do have another message to anyone looking to get some pieces, some Goodfellas pieces, because as some of you may have seen, there are a couple of pieces listed very cheap on Magic Eden, and yeah, you might have had the impression that these might be stolen pieces, and the truth is they are. But we decided that you can go for it, get the pieces. They're definitely cheaper, a lot cheaper than they used to be, and they will be upgraded to core later. I remember a post that STC made when she talked about the markets, and she said, "I love the down markets." She picked up some extra cheap Solana, and what else did she write? Collector's dream to get some crypto at discount. And this is the way to look at it. Look at the bright side. For us collectors, it's great to have these kind of opportunities, and this is a way to see a good side on the whole drain situation we had. There are some very cheap Goodfellas on Magic Eden, and this is your opportunity to get some, right?
Yeah, 100%. And today, in fact, I'm going to go in and probably make an announcement around which collections are updated and which ones aren't. I just need to get the collections listed correctly. Because anything from the old pieces needs to be either sent in and swapped out or burned, because we're going to be delisting those collections. So you don't want to hold something that's not official. So we're basically going to deprecate all the old pieces, swap them out with the new pieces, and of course Alex and I are doing that at cost to us, just simply because it's the right thing to do. And the pieces that are online that are listed for really low prices are stolen pieces. I would never list any of my pieces for less than 2 or 3 SOL. They just mean too much to me for that. And the truth is, the quality of our artwork is, head and shoulders above most of what you're going to find on the web, or on Web3, I should say. So you'll never see me list a piece for like some cheapo rate. And if I do see someone listing a legitimate piece for a cheapo rate, I just always buy it up, because I don't want to devalue our IP that way. So if you see our IP out there in the marketplace and it's on one of the official links, and again, check inside Discord for the official links to the collection. If it's at one of those official links and it's listed for cheap, go ahead and snap it up. Yes, you're buying it from a thief. That's okay, because ultimately we're going to swap it out for you. It's not the end of the world if the thief makes a couple bucks because they listed it for $4 online. I don't really care. If their whole life is revolved around, selling a piece for a hamburger, so be it. I'm not going to waste any of my energy trying to police that. I'm just going to fix it. And then once those pieces are snapped up, they're gone. The thieves are out of our lives forever. And we're on to the next thing. So who owns the piece has no impact on the quality of the IP or the quality of what we're doing here. Who owns the piece in this particular case due to theft was a security breach that basically is on me, and I have to take responsibility for that. So, ultimately going forward, Alex and I are beefing up security so that can't happen in the future. But we don't want anyone inside our community to have to feel like they're paying a price because someone, breached our security and stole some pieces. That's just not the way we're going to work. So all of that old stuff, anything stuck in staking, anything from those days that you can sell and get rid of, feel free to swap it out for the new core NFTs. Feel free to snap up anything on the official marketplace links from the old collections. And again, they're listed inside Discord on the official links or trusted links channel. If you hit anything on those trusted links and you see it cheap, go ahead and snap it up. It's not going to hurt anybody. You're actually going to be getting a screaming deal on it. And then when we upgrade, we'll swap out the old style NFT for the new one. And you've basically gotten one of our pieces at a super discounted rate. And kudos on that. Like, because at the end of the day, I'd rather have our IP in the hands of solid collectors, people who care about it, than, some jackass on the internet who thinks it's a good thing to go around stealing from people. So that's my take on it. You don't have to worry about buying anything. No one was personally affected that I'm aware of other than me. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, man. Well, the truth is actually that it's not the thieves selling, but the thief just accepted a lot of offers, and these offers were basically just like the rent price of Solana, like 0.01 or something. And these guys, or this guy, is currently selling the pieces. But yeah, whatever. We'll get through this. And like I said, I think it's around 10 pieces listed. So, or no, it's a little more. No, it's actually not too many. So yeah, take the opportunity if you want. If you want to get a piece, I think there are a couple cool ones out there. We had some guys reaching out already asking if they can buy some. And this should be it for today, I guess. Have we left out anything important?
I don't think so, man. We obviously missed the last couple podcasts due to connection issues and travel and some of the rest of it. So apologies for missing those, guys. We'll definitely be back on the regular schedule starting now going forward. So keep an eyeball peeled and ready for the next episodes, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.